Today, we're jumping into one of the most ancient and powerful stories of promise, a covenant that's symbolized by something we've all seen, the rainbow that shows up right after a storm.
Just think about that for a second. What if you could just wipe the slate completely clean and start all over? Well, that's the massive idea right at the heart of the story we're exploring.
So our story begins with a world that is quite literally washed clean.
So the story goes, the world had gotten to a point of such, deep corruption that a total reset was needed. And the way this reset happens? A massive world-changing flood.
And when those waters finally recede, what's left is this new, quiet, kind of empty earth. The only survivors are Noah, his family, and all the animals he brought along. Basically, the seeds for a whole new beginning.
But, the story doesn't just end with destruction. What really defines it is what comes next. A promise made to all life, which we now know as the Noahic covenant.
Standing there, on this freshly cleansed planet, a divine promise is made. And you've got to understand the sheer scale of this. It wasn't some private deal with one guy. No, this was a universal declaration for all of humanity, and pretty amazingly, for every single living thing that would ever exist.
And the word for this agreement is covenant. Now, this is way more than just a simple promise. Think of it like a sacred, unbreakable contract. And it's an agreement that started entirely by God.
So, who exactly is included in this sacred agreement? Well, its reach is just incredible. It covers Noah and his family, sure, but also all of their descendants, which, hey, that means all of us. And it doesn't stop there. It also extends to every living creature and even to the earth itself. It's a truly cosmic promise.
And here it is, the very heart of that promise, stated so clearly. It's this guarantee that no matter what humanity does, the world will never again be wiped out by a flood. It's a huge shift from destruction to preservation.
Okay, so this new world also came with a new set of, let's call them operating instructions, the terms of the covenant.
And I mean, the contrast is just night and day. The world literally moved from total chaos to a new order that's all about stability. This covenant wasn't just about stopping another flood. It was about laying down completely new foundations for how to live.
So what did this new foundation actually look like? Well, it came with a pretty clear blueprint. First, a renewal of that command to be fruitful and multiply. Second, a big change in diet. Humans could now eat meat. Third, and this is a big one, a new respect for life symbolized by the rule against consuming blood. And finally, establishing justice and the absolute sanctity of human life.
And here's the thing to remember. These weren't just some random rules. They were the actual building blocks for a whole new relationship, defining how humanity should relate to God, to each other, and to the entire natural world.
But a promise this huge needs a permanent, visible reminder, right? And this brings us to the sign in the sky.
I mean, seriously, how do you make sure an everlasting promise is never, ever forgotten? You need a living symbol, a signature that appears for every single generation to see for themselves.
That signature is the rainbow. And here's where we get to a really fascinating, deeper layer of meaning. In the original Hebrew, the word for rainbow, keshet, is the exact same word they used for a war bow, like a bow and arrow. This is absolutely key to understanding what it means.
So just think about that. A war bow. What does a warrior do with their bow after the battle is won? They hang it up. It's a sign that the fight is over. So by placing this war bow in the clouds, pointed away from the earth, God is making this incredibly powerful symbolic gesture. The war is over. It's a sign of peace.
And this quote right here tells us exactly what the rainbow is for. It's not just for us to see and remember the promise, it's also a reminder for God, a self-imposed, visible cue to remember the promise made to every living creature on earth.
So when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway? Why does this ancient symbol still hold so much power for so many people?
Well, it really boils down to three key reasons. First, it's universal. It's not for one special group, it's for everyone and everything. Second, it's unconditional. It doesn't rely on us being perfect, it relies only on God's faithfulness. And third, it becomes this profound symbol of hope, a constant reminder that mercy will always win out over judgment.
So in the end, this story takes something we see in nature all the time, just light passing through water droplets, and it packs it with this incredible meaning. The rainbow becomes a sign of stability, a promise that things will continue, and just a beacon of hope, especially when the world feels kind of chaotic.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. In a world that often feels stormy and uncertain, this ancient story tells us to look up to the clouds for a sign of an unbreakable promise. So what about you? In your own life, what signs of hope do you look for?